Hello everyone and welcome to the Captain's Video Blog. We are Thursday, December the 22nd, 2016. So, not going to talk about how not festive the kitchen looks because, well, I mean, it's the kitchen. But yeah, the rest of the house doesn't look very festive either. So I guess we're going, on to putting up the decorations on the 24th. Huh? Yeah, that's kind of a waste. I mean, not that I would envision putting up the decorations in at the end of November because of, well, I mean, the dogs. But yeah, I mean, you're like, well, I mean, it's 2 days before Christmas Eve, and we're like, just, oh, well, it could be literally any other day of the year, if not for the stockings. So yeah. Anyway, went to the doctor and I have a rhinopharyngitis, which is actually kind of a throwback Thursday of sorts, because rhinopharyngitis is this kind of sickness that I used to catch when I was really young, and I fell sick every month or so. So yeah, I said in like previous video weblogs that I had been diagnosed with a chronic sinusitis, but this one was diagnosed like way later, probably around 2010, 2011. So yeah, when I was only getting sick every 3 months or so. So yeah, I'm a bit pissed because I haven't been able to find the leftover medication of last time I've been sick, because essentially the thing with the sinusitis and the rhinopharyngitis is that, well, you can basically cure them the same way with the same medication, and I'm not very, my family aren't very rich, so we look at the date on the boxes of the medications, and you're like, yeah, so are we past that date? No? Well, I mean, I guess we can still keep the box. Haha. It's not really advised, but who cares? Like, why would you throw out medication that you might as well take, like in a 3 month period? Yeah. So yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I have the syrup. It's always good to have a syrup, because syrup is I mean, it's a bit sugary, so yeah, it coats my throat, which is actually why I can speak with the voice really feeling well, and not having to fear that suddenly it all gets caught up between my mouth and my nose, just disgusting stuff. Anyway, so I'm gonna talk about SmackDown for a bit. Like, I completely forgot to mention that, well, James Ellsworth, being pretty banged up with ice and bandages all over his body, was interviewed by Dasha Fuentes, who, like Charlie Caruso on Raw, lacks tact. Like, Charlie Caruso, I still can remember the fact that it really looked like she wanted to make Owens mad on Roadblock, and Dasha Fuentes, like, she heard Ellsworth not being able to utter anything more than a pained moan, like and she still asked him questions, and then Carmella saved him, and I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, I can see why she does that. Carmella only really has a bone to pick with Nikki Bella and Natalia. The rest of the roster, why would she be mean to them? It would be, it's a character being mean to everyone just because she's pissed at two people would be pretty much one-dimensional, and it would be like a pretty flat character when you think about it. And to have Carmella, having that kind of spectrum of behavior is actually pretty interesting. So yeah, we'll see where that actually went. Yeah, and I rewatched Talking Smack, because yesterday I was tired and really sick as I was watching it, so I felt like it was maybe some cringy laughter about the antics of of Santorino, but actually it was pretty genuine. I felt like his jokes were really on point, like the one with the small package, which was the line of the night. It had layers, like notwithstanding the very casual delivery, which is really the thing that makes it the funniest. There's also the fact that he gave it to Daniel Bryan, um, who was known in the Indies as Mr. Small Package, because that's how he won matches. Also the one to kick out, which is essentially the way a small package goes in the WWE. But yeah, there's the kind of layers that make the jokes so funny actually. So yeah, moving on to NXT, which I think is the actual, the last actual show of the year. Like I always, I've been watching NXT for, well, 4 years at this point, and every time at the end of the year, I watch the show and I expect that there's something between the first match and the last match, but no, it's a recap of the year. So maybe this time around it won't be the case. I don't know, they didn't announce anything for last week, so I'm gonna assume that it's going to be that way. And the thing about NXT, I think it's the show that proportionally to the runtime, it's the show that I talk about the most. And well, 205 Live, which runs for about the same time as NXT, might be the show I talk about the least, because NXT I'm probably going to go like for 11-12 minutes about NXT, and 205 Live yesterday I talked about it for 4 minutes, and the wrestling is very good on both shows, but really what makes me talk about NXT and pretty much every show is the story, and the stories on 205 Live, they are there, but they are also very superficial. Divery, how did it make the whole thing advance yesterday? Tuesday, he returned the insult to Jack Gallagher. So yeah, and the first thing in the evening on NXT was a match between Billie Kay and Daria Berenato, and it drove the storyline that Daria, that Billie Kay and Peyton Royce are a unit. Like, if you want to fight one, you have to fight the two of them. And that was really a point driven home by the match when, Daria, despite her MMA background, when she did a sliding knee to the back of Billie Kay and threw her to the outside, she clocked Peyton Royce, then threw Billie in the ring, who distracted the ref, and Royce, just assaulted Daria outside, and when she threw her back in the ring, Billie Kay only had to do the big boot, which is, just wrestling logic. A finisher will finish the match, no matter how strong the opponent is, I guess, because Daria had shown that she's very tough, and yet she was down for the count after a big boot to the face. Despite the assault on the outside, it just felt a little bit weird. And yeah, the point of that they are a unit that need, so that anyone seeking to take on one has to take on the two, was also driven home by the promo they cut afterwards, saying that they had pretty much shown everyone in the women's division that they are the they are the ones who are on top, and that they threw a challenge at Asuka to really show her who was calling the shots. And they were saying, you're saying there's no competition, but we are competition. So, it's not one or the other, it's the two, it's a full set. And to which Asuka answered that, yeah, they aren't really competition anyway. So, yeah, I guess I answered the challenge, but who knows? Who even cares? However, she seemed to have little interest in Nikki Cross, who was picking at her during that backstage interview, because Asuka was biting her lip, and it's really, you can see that her opponents have very, if she goes, ahead with that thing with Nikki Cross, her opponents have had very different characters. Like, Bayley was the scruffy underdog, despite being the champ. Nia Jax was the strong woman. Mickie James was the technical veteran who could, handle her for most of the match. And now she has Nikki Cross, who is the crazy one. Woo! But yeah, I mean, there not one of the women on the women's division of NXT has the same gimmick, or the same character as another one. So it's really interesting. The second match was John Ortegun. Yeah, I think he's Turkish, so the G might be silent. I mean, I'm saying that he might be Turkish because he had the Turkish flag on his trunks. And Anthony Bowens versus the Authors of Pain. Pretty quick match. Ortegun tried to escape the ring when he saw Bowens getting, well, pretty much dismembered, but his escape was cut short. Not he didn't even make it to the ramp. So yeah, then he went back into the ring, and there was the usual finish with the Authors of Pain clinking their opponents together and dropping one on top of the other. But then the match was called off by the referee, so the Authors of Pain won. And Paul Ellering cut a little promo saying that the AOP are on a seek and destroy mission, which is pretty tough words actually. And that they are going to take the NXT Tag Team Championships no matter who they face, be it the Revival or DIY. However, I have a little rebuttal to this, which is that during the Dusty Classic, DIY were actually pretty close to winning against the Authors of Pain. The only reason why they lost was because of Paul Ellering and the Revival. So, right now it looks like it could be a pretty easy match for the Authors of Pain. But in the 5 weeks of build-up before Takeover San Antonio, this could be, brought up. So, yeah, we'll see if that seems still that obvious, when San Antonio comes knocking. Yeah. Speaking of San Antonio, so there was, there's the Fatal 4-Way for the number 1 contender to the NXT Championship, and there was a little video package, highlighting the motivation that for each one of the participants. For example, Ty Dillinger was seeking to actually win, because he felt like he might have been qualified on technicalities, like a little bit of a fluke qualification because of, he won via disqualification. But this time around, he was seeking to really win the number 1 contendership. Andrade Cien Almas wanted to win. It was pretty strange because on one hand he said that he wanted to win to shut everyone up, but then he said that he didn't care about anyone nor anything, and he just cared about himself. So, which is it, Andrade? Then Roderick Strong was like, he seeked to prove that he is a champion. Like, everyone is pretty tough, sure, but he is a champion. It's Roddy versus the world, So yeah, and Bobby Roode was like, well, I mean, I faced Andrade in my debut. I won. I faced Ty Dillinger in front of his home crowd, and I embarrassed him. And Roderick Strong, who is he even? He's been there for like 10 minutes, which is actually pretty funny when you think about it, because I mean, they have kind of a history together, like not really together, but you kind of feel like they might actually know each other, right? And he wants to make the title glorious, which is, if he wins, that's actually sort of thing about Nakamura. He's a global superstar, much more than Bobby Roode. So yeah, and he's also got heaps of charisma. Could be a very interesting opposition of intros, like WrestleMania worthy, if he wins. So on to the Fatal 4-Way. So very interesting Fatal 4-Way. When the match started, Bobby Roode, the first thing that he did was going to the outside. He was quickly joined by Roderick Strong, and then by Ty Dillinger to cut him off. Got into a little bit of a brawl, and then Andrade Cien Almas did the unthinkable. He jumped onto them, which was actually a big mistake, because once all of the other three went back into the ring, Almas was pretty much denied the way back into the ring. He was knocked off the apron by first Roddy Strong and then by Bobby Roode. And when he got durably into the ring, thanks to a Tower of Doom spot, he looked like he could capitalize and eliminate Ty Dillinger first, but it didn't quite work. Like, he actually got to knee him in the face in the corner, but then as he was looking to add a little more to that, he was on the receiving end of a sick kick by Roderick Strong, who eliminated him first. Roderick Strong. Then there was this a bit of time where while they were pushing Almas out of the ring, where the match just was just a bit of a sloppy couple of minutes. Then Roderick Strong wanted to eliminate quickly Dillinger too, but he got countered into the tiebreaker. So goodbye, Roderick. Try your chance again. A little bit of time, and then so it was pretty much the rematch of Toronto. But when Bobby Roode kicked out of the tiebreaker, it was pretty much all said and done. Dillinger still had a little bit of offense in him, but then he was once again countered. He tried to do the tiebreaker off of the second rope, but yeah, he was countered and thrown onto the top turnbuckle, and then onto the glorious DDT. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very fantastic opposition of entrances between Bobby Roode and Shinsuke Nakamura. Like, I'm looking forward to that. Like, very, very interested in seeing if Nakamura is going to retain the title or if he's already up for the call-up, which could be really interesting in the matter of the main event dynamics. Like, you have Ty Dillinger, who's essentially he's essentially the Dolph Ziggler of NXT. Lots of charisma. Everyone likes him. Like, trainers like him. The guys on the indies that he worked with like him. Dusty Rhodes felt like he should already be on the main roster. Everybody likes him, and yet he always comes up short of winning, and that's you're like, oh boy, I really hope that when he wins the title, it's going to be really, something great, something significant, and not a title reign a la Daniel Bryan, for example. I actually was hyped for his WWE World Championship run, and then then he was also injured. So yeah. We'll see, what they do with Roderick Strong, because Austin Aries might come back. He's going to come back, but is he going to be directly called up to the cruiserweights, or is he going to spend some more time on NXT? I don't know. Maybe he's going to work as a team with Roderick Strong. Who knows? Maybe he's going to be double duty. I don't know. We'll see. We cannot really predict the future. Like, when Bobby Roode won against Ty Dillinger in Toronto, it was sure that he was going to be the number one contender. But then again, we thought that Samoa Joe was going to have a pretty lengthy title run and not lose the title directly in Osaka, though it was pretty obvious. But yeah, it was all a battle of pros and cons, so we cannot really predict with that much time ahead of us. Anyway, thanks for watching, and that's pretty much it for tonight. So thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Goodbye. Also, I have to be up pretty soon, pretty early, because giving math classes in the afternoon this time. Bye.